Today we're going to be talking about justice. And let me start with the open question. As usual, what is justice? What does it mean to you? What does it bring to mind when you hear this word? Can I ask each of you to give me a short introduction when you're ready?
I can start. Just the law. The first word come to my mind, just associated with the law, with the rules of society, and so just it's so we have to follow these rules, not to break them. Otherwise, we could be punished. It depends on how about our. So what we cause about what we cause and because there are different rules. So of course that's a good idea to live according to the rules and have this in society, because we are not alone, we are not in the island. So just because there are people, and so we have to agree among each other, just how to live together in peace and in a good society, in a good environment. So
Yes.
that's about me.
Or even if we are on an island, such as in the UK, we still need justice.
Yeah, I mean, just like Robinson Crusoe, just they on alone in the
Oh, yeah, that's a
island.
good point. It reminds me as well of another book, The Lord of the Flies, where they are kind of on their own. Okay, but let me come to the other participants. Andreas and Larissa, do you have a similar definition? Does it?
Yeah, as we're talking about justice in terms of the four virtues, I thought it might be not so much connected to the laws in the first place, but to philosophic thoughts that lead us to make decisions, and the right decisions. And yeah, so I thought justice for me is if everybody gets what she or he deserves, regardless of gender, of descent, of social class, or other preconditions. But as most of the time, as soon as I dig into something a bit deeper, it becomes it opens up in a huge way. So the next question is, how do we define, or how could I define what a person deserves? And this is probably connected to, is it connected to the society and to special laws in a country? But I can't say if this law is just in every case. So this leads to a lot of other questions.
Yes, I think it can. You're right, it can. As they said in the short video about the Stoic virtues, often most people do think of the justice system and law. Even when we see the statue of justice, we tend to associate that with the law. But there is the deeper philosophical question, which you talked about. And I think probably they're connected. That's why we decide that we have laws in our society. But maybe we can come back to that a little bit. Can I bring Larissa in at this point? Would you add anything, or which one of these did you think about? I don't know if it translates directly into Russian. You have both meanings.
Okay, thank you. I totally agree with my colleagues and my friends now. And when I tried to prepare the answers for this topic, I found that the definition of justice is a concept of moral righteousness based on ethics, rationality, law, natural law, religion, or equality. So there's a lot of different things which lead to justice.
Yes, very good. It's true. I had a quick search of my Kindle to see where justice appeared the most, and the two books which struck me on the top page. The very top one, I think, was Plato's Republic. I started to read that, but I just got into this wormhole. But the other one was the book I'm currently reading, which is it's often about people working in the Justice Department. And people talk a lot about injustice. Sometimes that's easier to define. And what about the short video that I sent you where people gave their definition of justice? Did you have a look at that? Did anything strike you from that video?
Unfortunately, I didn't watch because I didn't. Maybe just I skip it in your letter. So I'm just sorry. I'm a bad student. I didn't watch it.
It's okay. It was just really a short video about people. It was done by the UN from the women's rights point of view.
Yeah. Women's rights is interesting. It's a very interesting and very popular topic here about feminism and about rights and freedom and so on.
Yeah.
I think the video confirmed that it depends, or it varies and it depends of the unique perspective of each who was questioned, and it depends on norms and values of everybody, what he or she spontaneously thinks of justice. It was a broad variety what they brought up.
Yes, they did, didn't they? Okay, I'm wondering where to go with this. Would anyone else like to add something right now?
About the video, just
Seems to be interrupted.
Yes, sorry.
yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you, but we don't see you.
Some problem with the video. Okay, I might need to restart this. Let me perhaps put one of these quotes for you then that we said. Or does justice come naturally? Is it something which, as humans, we always seek? Or is it something? Is it in nature, or is it purely a human thing?
I think it depends on how to consider it, because sometimes I think we used to judge people, and there is also the quotation, don't judge people by its cover, but we always judge, we always compare, we can see other things maybe just in other people and don't want to see these things in ourselves. So just for us, it is easy to judge people. It's a really bad habit to judge people, and but anyway, it's kind of a natural process. You try to judge people by their deals, by their actions, and so you can say there is a bad person. He just acted so bad, so badly towards me, and he told, and he didn't, for example, he didn't say hello for me, say hello, and so just it's a bad behavior. But maybe this person didn't notice you. Maybe he had a problem, or so just he was busy. He didn't want to show in respect. So, but anyway, we could judge just in a bad way. So always judge every day. So I think for myself, just I try to stop myself judge people, because they're different. They are not the same like me. They can be different. They are not so active like me. So okay, it's okay to be. So that's why we are so different. We are individuals, and so that's the point about natural. I don't know. That's what is physiologically, but maybe you meant another way, just natural thing. Maybe not.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Maybe we have this natural sense of justice, but we might not have the whole picture, as you mentioned. It might be flawed.
It could be really spontaneously. Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. I think it's natural that people or societies concern with the question of justice, and we saw that there have been a lot of philosophers and currents or streamings or different approaches to answer this question. And yeah, the question quite often is what does justice mean? Does it mean that everybody deserves the same? Everybody's equal, and we have to divide everything or distribute everything in the exactly equal way? Or is justice that everybody should be free and develop in terms of his or her talents and success, and so some will become more prosperous, rich, and others will become poor? And is it just that the rich ones have to give something to the others, or why should they do it? So these are questions that have been asked centuries ago already, and
Yes.
I don't know if
Or
there's
millennia even.
Yes, I don't know if there's any proper answer to it already.
Yeah, I suppose you can't have one and the other, or if you do, then you're having a mix. You have to compromise. Does everybody get the same, or is it, as you said, according to their needs or according to what they deserve for some other? Yeah.
Can I add something? When I looked at the scientific papers about justice and about justice and how where from it comes, and I found and opened for myself very interesting point of view. For example, in 2008, when students in Californian University made a study, they found out that in rats, in brains of rats, they have areas which are responsible for food and for justice, the same areas which are responsible for food. So we have the different moments in behavior or in animals who so as people reacts for the questions of justice and injustice. After that, in other years, in another university of the USA, scientists saw the monkeys capuchin, and they saw that, of course, monkeys had their own society, and they the roles in their society were very, very differentiated between monkeys. And of course, it was very interesting because not only people, not only we in our human society, we spoke about justice, but also animals show with their behavior how to lead themselves truly and untruly. And it was very, very interesting experiment, which shows that questions of justice in our genes.
Very interesting. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I suppose it comes from any of the laws, any rules and laws, any laws and rules of society, which start off quite basic as this unspoken or unwritten rules, the way we do things, and then as we progress, we then make a civilization with a whole legal system, which
Yes.
is difficult to understand for most normal people.
Yes.
Anybody else would like to reply? Maybe we can talk about the justice system. I want to ask about justice and fairness. How are justice and fairness connected? What's the relationship between that?
I'm sorry, justice in famous in families or in which case? Because I'm not quite understand.
Well, is it the
Can
same
you tell?
thing? I'm just asking justice and fairness.
In the system, in their system of society, for example, in Russia, or just so, what do you mean?
Yeah, it could be.
Sure, sometimes we can really argue our society, our system, because we have a law, we know our rights, but when our rights are broken, so we just can say we don't go to the court because we won't be able to confirm and just to prove just to our rights, because these all courts are corruption. That is really high corruption system here, and so for example, you just want to according to the rules, you're right, for example, and it's really difficult to confirm, to prove, and in order to get the benefits from these and charge, I don't know, just the people who are responsible for it. So sometimes, yes, I'm a revolutionary. I tried to do it, and so I really faced this system of law here in Russia, and what I see, yes, really, they try to arrange this system so difficult, and people, if they really, okay, they go to the court, but the system it's a lot of bureaucracy, and there is a long queue, and so sometimes you don't want to spend hours. Sometimes you have to come at night just in order to be in this queue, that's the first, and really it's kind of like just like hinderness and circumstances that you see there is really you don't have energy and physical energy just to fight and to spend a lot of time and just to do it and to wake up at night and to go to the queue. That because that was a real situation that happened to me. Yes, so that's really difficult. Even just you have a contract, for example, my case, it's about the contract with my with the company that I bought the flat, and so there is if they delayed, and there was a date, exact date when they should give me the keys of the flat. It was 45 days. not so much, not just like, but anyway, I try to confirm and try to go to the law, just to according to the laws. I'm right. I have a contract and I know the amount of money. It's not about I know it's I'm absolutely true, because it's really easy to calculate, because it's stated in my contract and I'm right. So, but really, the system was
So that would have
managed.
been fair. What was
Yes, I just
fair
sent.
was not the same.
Yes, I sent a claim and I was right, but the court, the judge, yes, he
Yeah.
cut the amount for
Right.
50%. Why? Why you just cut this amount? Because according to my contract, you have to provide the whole amount of money. That's really, and anyway, I had to, even just to get this money, I had to go to the really long queue and just to wake up at night, because it's irresponsible to get, how say that, that's a document, and so you have to go to the really long queue, and it's really impossible to yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, it's really our disaster. What we have here, the system is really against of us.
Yeah, right. Sometimes the justice system doesn't seem to be fair.
Yes.
And in addition to your question, one point might be that laws and rules have to be quite rigid. They are not flexible. There's a question and it's to answer with A or B, and there's no between. but sometimes the one example came to my mind when there's a competition in sports, maybe at school, and it's there are certain standards in terms of your age. If you're from 6 to 10, you are rated with this standard or these rules, and if you're from 11 to 15, you have to run faster, or it's more strict, and it doesn't matter if you are one day, if your birthday is one day after, I think you know what I mean. If you're very close to
point.
Yes, if you're very, very close to it, you have to abide to the very strict rules, and your colleague who is just one day younger only has to abide by the more easy to achieve rules. And so I think it would be fair to treat them in the same way, but the rules say if you're 11, you have to abide by the more strict rules.
Right. Yes. Something came up which is about equality and fairness as well. To say that some fairness would be, as you say, to give, if somebody is 11 or a day younger, it would represent their age, the level of strictness of the test.
But then, just to add to the sports topic, that as I know, there is deviation according to the weight. Just I think it's when you become older, so when you're adult, so you would be divided in not in age, yes, just like in weight. I think
that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Sports.
Yeah, I think it's more
weightlifting.
closer. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good point. certainly boxing has divisions and weights.
So maybe just you have the same, it doesn't matter the age, and you have the same, strong, you have maybe the challenge is more fear, just fear. And so your partner is quite quality the same, and just like the same power, maybe they're the same power, but so you have different readiness, and so you are prepared by different teachers, but anyway, you could be the same quality, if I just say in this way.
Okay, good. So I'd also like to say justice is sometimes another word for punishment. To seek justice often means that somebody, if they have done something wrong, then they should be punished. They should get the appropriate punishment for what they have done. So in this respect, who is responsible for the justice in our lives? Is it ourselves? Is it the courts, the legal, the law of the land and the courts?
If, for example, for example, someone is killed, for example, just talking about there's this idea that somebody is killed, and who is responsible? The court, yes, a judge. And if this person, we cannot kill this person too. That's in order to punish. That's kind of equal to.
Yes, that kind of goes back to the saying which comes from the early Bible, I think, an eye for an eye.
Yes, it's not good, and so we are not judges, and so that's we cannot kill people. We should not kill. We can punish, but I think the punishment should be right. Maybe not just to maybe yes to go to send this person to the prison, and to insist and just to make this person to do some things to work for society, to work for just to make her work and to do something good.
But if somebody has killed somebody, surely they deserve to have some punishment, do they not?
But not to be killed. That the same, like talking about fairness, just to equal the situation, to make it equal. No, I think we should.
But why not? They have taken someone's life.
We cannot. Yes, we cannot take the life of somebody, even just if you're a judge. I think. Yes.
Is that? Yeah, so it's interesting. Is that I know in some countries the death penalty still does exist. I don't know if it's in Russia if you still have the death penalty.
No, we don't. I think no, we don't have death penalty here, and I think it's right because sometimes there are mistakes that this person is not guilty and he is in prison, and so sometimes it happens. And to be killed as a punishment by mistake, it's really, I think it's disaster.
Okay.
Guys, I remember a story which was described in Fyodor Dostoevsky novel. His novels, I don't remember, was it Crime and Punishment, or it was The House of Jazz? But his point of view was that we should describe the level of development of our society in the way not how our society bring up with figures, but how our society turns themselves to their prisoners. So we in my country, in Russia, we have not death. We have not this punishment for this crime. But as a woman, in different cases, or I wanted, sometimes I want to come back this punishment. But this is the level of our society. Now we have not this position, this point of view. So.
Right. Yes. Andreas?
Yeah, I think in the first place we are responsible. Everybody's responsible for justice because we have to deal with it every day in our family, with our colleagues, our neighbors, and we do it probably in an unconscious way mostly, because it's in
Unconscious.
our not conscious.
Yes.
Because it's we are used to it, and it's totally
Yes.
in our lives.
If you have children, especially, might have to.
Yes, and only if it escalates in a way, it goes to the courts. If we can't deal with it anymore, or if it's too bad, or if it's really
Too
against
severe.
rules and harms other people, then it has to go to court. But we are the ones who set the rules in our lives to live together. So I think everybody deals with justice.
Of course, we are responsible. I'm sorry.
And there was a little delay, but I'm finished.
Yes, Larissa. Thank you, Andreas.
You know, now in these days we have elections in our parliament in Russia. So the cries about justice we listen very often, but when we have the days of elections, the cries for justice and questions of injustice became more louder. So of course we have to make our civil position. We have to show our voice and to give our voice for someone in our parliament. So as we made this choice, we are responsible for the results of these elections.
And anyway, to add about votes, about elections, they try to push us to vote online. There is good tool, and even they try to insist to vote online through our employers, and it's really unfair to push. It's up to me if I want to go to their to the place where I can physically vote. I could do it. I can do it. It's my choice to vote or not to vote. Otherwise, just my Sergey, my friend, he's working at the gas company. There is a really big and how to say successful company, and so his boss tried to push him to vote online, but he rejected because he told him that I already assigned for going to the place. So it's so you are late. That was so that's why they just try to insist. Why they insist to vaccinate people? Why they just do it just like to push us? So we're in doubt. In this way, we are in doubt because we are trying to find out what is the reason. And because of course we don't trust our government, and because we see how many things just happened, and so many there is a reform against of pensioners. They just prolong, they increase the age of go to the pension to go. So it's there's so many things, and also the rate is getting bigger. So just we had for the companies, for non-physical people, just like for companies that the rate, yes, there is bigger. Just every year they try to really to make our life not so comfortable, and so we see really bad changes in our life.
The rate you have to pay, you mean?
I mean, just our companies, they have to pay for us, for employees. The rate is bigger, is getting bigger. So that got, and everywhere they didn't support small business during the pandemic. They tried to get away small business here, because it's really, they wanted what they see. The reason they wanted to make us vulnerable and to be addicted, if I can say so, dependent on them, on the government, to take credits, to be really vulnerable and dependent. So there's so many things, and so today we're go to this to the place and to vote physically. That's our decision.
Yes, to try to get justice in your own.
Yes, try to do it. And so anyway, we will vote for the person who is really who's kind of a bad person. That was because there was really propaganda against him of Central channel, and he's a guy from Democracy part, social part, communist part. There is a really old part, and that was I saw a lot of video. I watched a lot of videos on the internet about him. He's a bad guy from our central from our central channel. So I know this is a good person. Because there is a really propaganda of
right.
the law.
He must be good.
Yeah, it must be good person, because this reason, so kind of what they provided, that he's a rich man, he spent a lot of money, he has money on offshore and so on. He didn't kill anybody. He tried to do something to make our life better. So I think he's the right person. So I go to vote for him.
So coming back to the question then, are the politicians responsible for, making sure there is justice in the land, in the country? Do they have a responsibility?
Dave, I think that Natasha's example was a good example that we still live in a totalitarian society. And as we speak, and my point of view, when we had a situation of Second World War, and we lived in totalitarian society, it was good, because we know what is our main goal, and that what is the role of every person, and every person was in his place, and our idea was we need only to be a winner of this war and nothing more. But in the peaceful life, we have to demonstrate our voice, and we have to stay for our interests and for our beliefs, sometimes in the opposite way of propaganda and something else.
Yeah, so I think that's, these political struggles, they're all very much connected with justice. What people perceive
in
to
order
be justice.
to be afraid of it. So they try to make us vulnerable and to be scared and to stay home doing nothing, to just like they have a wonderful power, and so they will they will act and they wouldn't listen to us. They would do whatever they want.
Yes. Well, perhaps
Yeah.
it's a tricky question. I think it goes really to the roots and the core of who we
And
are as people.
to be honest, to addition to Andrea's point about kill people, just sometimes people could be killed by mistake. I was thinking about the brain, because why people go to eat, why people kill, why just the person could kill, because I think something happened. Maybe Larissa, she's a doctor, so there is kind of a break in our brain. So something happened. It's not good just to do it. So it's against of our nature, maybe our social nature, maybe physical nature to survive. Yes, we can kill. So many thousand years ago, we could kill each other in order to survive, in order to get food. But anyway, just in social society and having rules, we know that it's really bad to kill or just to do something. I mean, just kill is a really bright example. So I think it's really happened in the brain. So just
Yes.
it's not normal.
Thank you, Natasha. And of course, we don't spoke about the situation of schizophrenia when people have the terrible disease and their voices in their head, they say that you should go and to kill this person. And of course, in the case of disease, we have to judge about this person in another way, to treat them first of all, if we have a possibility to treat them, and after that to limit his place of living, and to inform other neighbors about his disease, sometimes because it is dangerous first of all for children. And but as we speak about this disease, we know that every year we have the growth of schizophrenia, and we have the growth of disease, for example, as pedophilia. So as we speak about this deviation as disease. But we should be prevented from this terrible disease. But in other point of view, the appearing of this disease, this is the new level of development of our society. For example, we have not a lot of schizophrenia 20 years ago, and we have not so much pedophilic disorder in 20 or 30 years ago. Of course, this is internet influence, and this is influence of our life to our mind.
Yeah. It's such a pity, really. That's really.
Yes.
Yes, I think, when you start to speak about mental disorders as well, they have to be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
And also the intentions of one person's the intention of that's based on what a person did. It's also taken into consideration at court.
Yes, right.
The motives of one's acting, and
Yes.
this is also what Kant brought up. He said the action's moral worth is based on the motives preceding it, and I saw an example to explain it. If there's a child and the child buys some bread, and the grocer
Yes. Or the baker.
the baker doesn't overcharge, and this is apparently this is the right way, but it depends on the fact why he didn't overcharge. Didn't he because it might harm his business, because everybody says this baker is overcharging children? Or didn't he overcharge because he thinks this is the right way to do it? And
It's different.
it's just a simple example, but it's also considered on when there's a trial. Somebody is sued. Why did he act in this way? Was it
Yes.
just a fault that the business didn't work, or did he want to get rich and betray other people?
Yes. Okay, it's good. It's interesting. I had another. I want to bring in some quotes now, maybe to the old "an eye for an eye." This is Gandhi said, "An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind." That was one of his when he was dealing with, potential violence in his own country, when wrongdoing had been done and certain people wanted to take revenge. They thought they were seeking justice, but this kind of retribution and seeking revenge and calling it justice is just going to perpetuate this cycle of revenge and feuds, perhaps, and violence against each other. So it's perhaps not really justice, or some people might view it as justice, but is it really, what we want as justice? How do you feel about that? How does your society feel about that? Of evening the score or getting even? Is that justice? If you have been wronged?
Of course, sometimes we see this justice in school, and so sometimes our kids, for them, it's really difficult to accept it, this unfairness, injustice, or why I try. So and you have to try to explain and to support kids, and just not to judge other people in a badly way, and because you're not a winner, so okay, so next time maybe just you try to do it. And so it's really good to act, otherwise to be silent or just to sit at home and not take competitions, or because you know that you won't be winner. And so sometimes it happens, and so there's corruption and again in bureaucracy. But anyway, you have to go, and so it's better. And always I told my son that you have to act and to say, yes, I did it, but I couldn't do it because something happened. But anyway, I got this experience. But when I stayed at home and didn't anything, so how can I say? It doesn't matter just to go or not to go. Otherwise, I couldn't be a winner. So I try to push my son to act and to go to the end.
So, what do you mean to
Yes.
to go?
Even just to go, I mean, just to make to take this opportunity and just to be involved, to be the part of the process, not just to be aware, to be aside, to be just not to sit in the couch and say, "Oh, I can do it," because it's no reason. There is because of this corruption system, for example. No, just anyway.
But I mean, if he feels there is an injustice, I don't know, if somebody picked on him at school.
Sometimes it's really difficult when
you get in a fight.
It's about competitions. I meant competitions. I mean some.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, some contests and so on. Sometimes it's really difficult to accept when you failed. But talking about teachers, yeah, it's really
talking about revenge, really.
Yeah, so sometimes teachers make mistakes too, and it's really difficult to explain to your kid when he was right and teacher was wrong. and teacher wanted to send him away from the class because he mentioned that she wasn't right to send him away, and he told that
Right.
it's unfair, and and she of course she got angry, and there was a conflict, and it was difficult. But so sometimes really it's really difficult to regulate a conflict between between a teacher and a student, your kid, for example.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'm keen to talk about this concept that particularly, with wrongdoing, if somebody is, however it could be physically, or you feel that you have been wronged by somebody, is it, we mentioned before, and Andreas mentioned, it's up to us to, to have justice in our own
I think
lives. But can
first
we take the law into our own hands? This kind of thing. We hear about it happening. Most people don't, or there's a limit to most people's actions, I think, if you're a law-abiding citizen. But
I just small addition to add. Just
okay. Yes.
firstly, we have to communicate. Firstly, to try to communicate, to ask people, why did you do that? Can we regulate that conflict? But if you just stay and ignore it and just try to visualize something in your brain and try to explain it without non-listening to another part, I think sometimes there is a problem. So sometimes people, they try to avoid communication. I think that we have to communicate, we have to talk, we have to try to find out and to ask questions and to find a solution. So that was, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Sometimes it's very difficult to stop yourself because we are human being only.
Right. Please continue. Can you explain what you mean by that?
You want to kill someone? Yes. Sometimes.
Yes.
I think sometimes I can kill someone. So, so it depends on my situation in my place of work and about the condition of my mind and a lot of different reasons. For example, when my baby was at the first form and she was not well developed enough for the first form of school, but the teacher said the kindergarten decided that her age is enough for school, but she needs in the classes with psychologists and the specialists who makes her speech better. And one of mothers, one of parents, the mother of another child in this class, one day she said me that my baby has problems with her brains. And Natasha, I'm sorry, but how to show it, how to translate it in English. So I make a kick to her face.
Don't tell me you punched her.
Yes, and the other teachers, they of course they tried to do all their best to another sides, me and this mother.
To come down.
Yes, but I'm very great that I made it for my baby. And I know that I will do it for my husband too, for my parents. And in any case, if I will be very sure that I'm not injustice, but I do the
felt that was
truthful thing.
justice.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Yes, I know it's true. And we've talked about the anger and our emotions, and maybe if you calm down, you would not. But yeah, in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
very difficult.
It's a tough question.
yes. Now my baby is at the fourth form, and I feel myself ashamed for this my actions in her first form. But
Do you
this
still
is
have
the
to see this other mother on a regular
yes.
basis? Did you make up with her?
But I'm sorry. 4 years ago, I didn't find another way.
Okay, but nowadays you get on. She's not going to take
Now,
revenge
I'm
again.
sorry. Now I'm ready for only my husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Andreas, can I bring you in? We've got just a few minutes left.
Yeah, I think about what are our motives to seek for revenge, and I think it's basically when we feel mistreated or we feel harmed in a way, and we want to express this to the other person. And probably in a lot of cases, an apology would work as well if the other person apologizes or accepts that something was wrong. But because it's very hard to apologize for a lot of people, this might be the way that is easier to go to just to make revenge.
And may I just add the quotation of my one of my favorite author, Sergei Dovlatov, and he told that you never know how you act, like a hero or like a scoundrel. It depends on the situations. In this situation, sometimes the hero could act like a scoundrel, and sometimes there is the opposite, and it's really difficult to explain why people act like Larissa just she explained. She just shared with us her story, but we don't know how we act in this
No,
situation.
it's yes, in the
It's
heat of
easy
the
to
moment.
catch, yes, but anyway,
I will not judge you for that. Yes, I can have similar reactions.
yeah.
So yeah, so there were a couple of more. I don't know. There was a couple more of quotes. I don't know if you heard. I know I put one in here that said, "Nicholas of Russia II." I believe he was the last Tsar, if I'm not mistaken. He said that there is no justice among men. I don't know at which point of his life he is supposed to say that, or have you heard this?
Yeah, that's true. And there
Did
is
he
no
say
justice
this?
in the world.
No justice. At which point was that? At the point where he had been stripped of all his his title, and he was.
He was a great son. He was the great Nicholas II. He's one of my favorite tsars. I think that if something could happen if we didn't have a revolution in 1917, so I think that we had better life. And Nicholas II was a really great son in
Yes.
this era.
But he was
Yeah.
not spared, was he? Was that justice?
He was close to people. He was and his wife, and he did a lot of things, good things for us, for Russian.
But he was killed,
Yes.
was he not?
Yeah, he was killed, and
Yeah.
his family was killed. All his kids, all of them were killed by Bolsheviks. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I suppose they thought that was some kind of justice.
yeah. So, yeah, he was great, and I agree with him. Just, I think that there is no justice really in the world, not only in Russia. I think there is So we see it every day, and so
Yes. I remember this Tsar, and I remember that he was not only very close to people, but he was very close to his family, to his wife, and to his babies. And of course, if it in our history, if we have another way, the life of our people will be another. But it's difficult to explain now. If I were in your shoes, I would do these things. But it's our history, and his words was very prominent words. Of course, we have not justice in the world, and the result, his death, shows that it's truth.
But does that seems quite a kind of depressing thought that there is none? Maybe we can't always see it, but if there is no justice, why bother even trying for it then? Or is it just about each person? I'd like to end on a slightly more, or at least this is from Aristotle, thousands of years ago, who said that, at his best, man is the noblest of all animals, but separated from law and justice, he is the worst. So perhaps we have it in us to have this complete lack of justice, but it's still we should strive for it nonetheless. Okay, well, I'm conscious that we've kind of run over the hour. Can I ask any final thoughts from each of you?
I think that Aristotle wanted to compare us with animals, that we can act like an animal, but anyway we can think because we have a brain, different brain. I mean, just like in order to make a choice to kill, not to kill. So it's kind of like our difference, but we are all like animals. Yeah, sorry.
The worst, maybe
No.
worse than animals at our worst.
Yes.
The worst of all animals.
Yeah.
Yes, it's difficult. It was a difficult topic for discussion, but the result of this discussion is that the justice begins from your family, from your relationship with your babies, husbands, parents, and so on. And the consequences of your relationship you will see in your future.
Yes, very, very profound. Perhaps like charity, justice begins at home, you could say.
Yeah. From yourself.
Yourself. Right.
And my last thought, I think there's no state of perfect justice. Probably it will never be, but we are striving for justice continuously and try to improve in learn and to improve in iterations.
Okay, good. Well, thank you all for joining me again, Andreas, Natalia, and Larissa. I appreciate your contribution as always. And
Thank
I
you
hope
for
you have
this
a great
topic.
weekend.
Thank you, David.
Bye, everyone.